Welcome to the Inside Track on Real Estate with the Dekker Team. And I'm Ken Dekker.
I'm Yetta Dekker.
And who are you?
I'm Virginia Dawson.
Virginia Dawson. Virginia Dawson is a great guest, really. We've had her on a couple shows, and this show is about making your house a home in relation to physical health, really, right?
Physical wealth.
Physical wealth.
Right, because the show we're doing, this is number 2 in the Complete Wealth Formula series. And so when we look at wealth, I think most of us think about what? We think about money. And there is so much more. It's one of the 5, what we've identified as the 5 core areas of wealth, financial, and yet it's only one of the 5. And the order that we're airing these in is not the order of importance necessarily, and yet really close. Anyway, physical is show number 2. Show number 1 was relational, and the upcoming show is going to be spiritual. And then following that will be, which one are we doing next? We're going to do financial. And then last but not least, we will do the last one.
That's beautiful.
That's pretty good.
That's beautiful.
Exactly. And then we'll do a wrap-up show, which will be a summary of not the content of all of them, just sort of bringing it all together and bringing it all home. And we thought today we would have Virginia share a little bit around the Wealth Formula book. This all started about 15 years ago when Ken started writing a book, and then took him 10 years almost to write it.
That makes it sound like my book's 15 years old.
It's not. It's 4 and a bit years old, actually.
Yes.
And so when that book was written, it was called The Wealth Formula, with a piggy bank on the front cover. If you haven't seen it, you can see it. If you're listening, you can't. If you're watching, you can. And it will give you lots of great financial tips and a whole financial picture and plan and a way to live and a strategy. It's fabulous, I've been told, and I think so because I'm part of writing it, really. We know this, right? And
well, you know what they say? Behind every successful man is
I
the
don't want
woman
to hear
that
it.
made it necessary.
And I so know that was coming. So you heard me say, I don't want to hear that. And yet, did I get to hear it? I'm going to let him say it one more time because he was talking over me. Go ahead, say it again.
Here's a new version of it, okay? Behind every successful man is a surprised woman.
Either the one that made it necessary or a surprised woman. Nice. Anyway, Virginia, take it away.
All right. So the Wealth Formula. I read this book last, I think it was August. Anyway, I didn't know what to expect. And it was written in a story format that really spoke to me. And so there were so many aspects, as Yetta had said, the 5 different areas are all in this book because they are key to the complete wealth formula.
Right.
And so the physical aspect, which we're talking about today, so throughout the book is weaved into it this couple who is very active.
Right.
And so that is a part of who they are. So on their bike, on their bicycle built for 2.
Exactly.
Actually.
Like how much better does it get than that?
It was awesome, yes. And how they obtain the bike. And then also another aspect of it, this person comes into their life who is, they don't know it, but is mentoring them in a very unique, beautiful way. And so this person who is mentoring them is also a soccer coach who, and it's all, I love it because it's also all local places that is in the book. So I can really relate. So this soccer coach, he coaches in Manotick. And just that physical aspect of it and how this young couple will take their bike and go and search for this mentor. They don't have they know his name, but they don't have a phone number or any way to contact him. So that was neat, that seeking and that finding to find that wisdom. And then also there is a sailboat in there as well, which was actually a really unique aspect of it as well, to bring them all together, to learn more about the complete wealth formula. So I really, really enjoyed this book, and I am really looking forward to the next ones.
Yes.
Yes.
And so today's show, we're looking at the physical side of how do you make your house a home? How do you do that? What does that look like? And we're going to focus on just 2 areas. There's 5 that we've identified under the physical. And we thought if we just spoke them all out, there would be really no significant value. So we're going to really look at just 2 of them. One is exercise. And the fact that that word even came out of my mouth is a shock to everybody that's here with me, because we all know that that is not my strong suit.
Oh, let me speak up there, because exercise, I believe, comes in many, many different forms. And yes, you don't enjoy or like the traditional go to the gym, lift weights, get all sweaty, and that kind of physical exercise. But you can get healthy just in walking and hiking and camping, where you're actually portaging and carrying a backpack through the woods, and which we enjoy from time to time. And you'll walk to work. That's about a 20-minute walk. And
It's 35. Who's kidding who?
35 minutes?
Unless
Okay.
I do a speed walk, but I'm not usually wearing running shoes. I usually got flats on now. I don't do it in heels too often unless I get stuck.
Okay. So there's that kind of physical activity. There's balloon fights in the backyard that we have that makes our house a home. The grandkids come over and the kids come over and their spouses, and we just have an all-out war. And that is very enjoyable for you, right?
I love that, actually.
Yeah. So exercise can come in many, many different forms in your home. And it's just about being active as opposed to being a couch potato.
And that's why the second area we were going to talk about was fun. And the whole fun aspect is more around the activity, having fun in activity, which is a lot of what you're talking about there, not so much traditional exercise. Right? So both of them, they're close and yet they're very different things. Because I think when I say the word exercise, what do you think about? You probably think about getting on the treadmill.
Yeah, and for some, that's...
For some,
Yeah, and for some, the house they select, and maybe this is you look for a home that is going to have, say, a pool in the backyard because you like doing laps. Or you're going to look for a home that you can put in a gymnasium into either the basement or a room upstairs where you can have your free weights and your treadmill and elliptical, because you like getting on the elliptical once in a while. Emphasis there on once in a while. You can, so there's that aspect. Then there's people that want a home in the location that allows for physical activity, like bike paths and walking trails and that type of thing. And so knowing really how you want your physical wealth to relate to your home, to make it, take that house and make it a home. That's key for when we're looking for a property for someone.
very key.
Absolutely.
And when we were chatting about this prior to the show, Virginia was sharing with me an idea around the physicalness of our home and what happens sometimes when we don't maintain it. It really becomes a house again, not so much a home, because it's not comfortable for us. Mm-hmm. So an element is comfort. And what were you saying? Because I liked it.
So I was saying, and Ken used the word couch potato. So we could easily, and I refer to this again, right? Yeah. Within the book, the young couple, very active. They're not couch potatoes. They're out doing things physically. So as we're young, we tend to do that, and we have that energy. And in our home, we have set up, there could be bedrooms for children coming along. And what happens in some cases, and I know this happened in my case, is that I stopped being physical because I didn't have the energy anymore. And so I think about our homes, and if we're not, I was talking about building muscle. Yeah. And so in the gym, we tear down muscle to build up muscle. And if we're just being couch potatoes, we're not. We're actually losing muscle. And so I look at our homes and I was thinking, that's kind of like our house where we don't know there's a water drip. And so what's happening behind those walls is it's breaking down, it's rotting. And so we do need to get into that again to dig in to find out what's really going on behind the walls of our homes. Otherwise, it breaks down, it falls apart, and it's expensive to get it fixed. And it's the same with our bodies. We get into the gym, or it doesn't even have to be a gym, out walking, as Ken said, or whatever it is, and we are tearing down muscle and building muscle so that we can be stronger, have a stronger foundation.
Yeah, I find if, just even working around the house can give you that physical health, right? If you got a project, you're going to build a deck or build a shed or cut the grass if you're manually cutting it, or with a push mower or something, that's exercise. And that's good for your health. We want to stay healthy because then the menial chores like vacuuming and carrying the groceries in from the car don't wind us and don't hurt us. And we don't, if we do have a slip or fall, we're much more likely to come out of that without a major injury if you're in a good physical situation. And same thing with our weight. If our weight gets too much, it's difficult to see our feet and you might trip, like I see that with some family members that are, not quite where they should be in their health situation. And I think part of being a home is when you have that health, and exercise is part of it, but then having fun and how you can relate the two. And sometimes having fun isn't even physical.
It's not?
No, like laughing and playing charades or playing a board game or Monopoly or Life.
Canasta.
Or Canasta, card game, with family or friends. And laughing because, that's such an important piece of our health.
Right, part of our physical health, actually.
Yeah.
Because when I laugh and I start to get a belly laugh, that's very physical.
That's the only ab workout I see you do, actually.
I don't know that was all that complimentary because it's not even quite true. There have been seasons where I've been very diligent at ab work.
Yes, that's
and
true.
then seasons where I'm not so diligent at ab work. Ab work.
Ab work, yes.
Ab
the
work.
plank.
The plank.
Yeah.
The plank. I get the plank. So the physical aspect of our home, how do we, in relation to our physical activity of our being, do you create a room or do you create every room to allow it to be easier to be physical? How do you do it? Is it a gym that you can go to in your own home? That works way better, I know, for me than having to go to a gym. Because if I have to go to a gym, that's a half an hour, then it's get out of there, then I've lost an hour and a half of my time. Whereas if it's in my home, I can wear whatever I want. I don't have to get in the car. I don't have to get out of the car. It's all right there. And so for a lot of people, having a physical gym or a physical space in a larger room to work out. So my elliptical machine is set up so that I can see the big screen. Not that I'm a big TV girl, except if I'm going to watch an educational program or a movie, it's kind of nice that I can do it from my elliptical machine. So that would be a way of that we've set up our home to work to create a little more physicalness than I would otherwise be inclined to do.
And sometimes it's a hard decision, treadmill or bike. I've got a recumbent bike. So recumbent bike or lazy boy chair to watch the movie. It's a really, really difficult decision for me sometimes. So maybe if we had no furniture in the room and only had those devices, then the decision was already made once, and I just walk in, if I'm going to watch a movie, I'm going to ride the bike.
Right, and we actually have clients that have done exactly that. That's how they've taken what was a house and turned it into a home for them. In the room where the TV is, the only TV in the house is where the exercise equipment is. And it's a really neat way to create your life the way you want it, rather than just fall prey, really, to our environment, to what we've created. So create a physical atmosphere or physical environment, a physical setup that really already sets the stage for the physical workout of your body.
So that brings a great question. I'm going to ask Virginia. Virginia, and I'm also asking you that are listening.
Or watching.
Is what have you done in your home that allows for an active lifestyle, or what change could you make in your home that would allow an active lifestyle? I know that for me, it was the weight creep. Weight creep is a kind of a weird word, but it was the 1 pound, 2 pounds a year, 3 pounds some years, that took me from my marriage weight with my lovely bride of 128 pounds.
He'll never go back there. We
No, I
wouldn't see
I
him.
won't go there, but 128 pounds, just visualize this, to 195. That's a fair weight gain over
It's like the better
20
part
years,
is 78
right?
pounds.
Yeah, so that was 20 years. So that's 3.5 pounds a year. It creeps on you. Actually, it was 10 pounds per child. I think it was sympathy eating for you when you were pregnant. And
I didn't have that many kids.
so about 9 years ago, I hit my weight of 195, and I was exercising. I had a coach. I was in the gym. I was muscular, but I was also heavy. And so I was playing soccer, I was active, but I was having a hard time breathing. And I told my doctor at a physical, I said, you know what? I'm having a struggling, I'm struggling to breathe when I'm exercising. And he looks at me and he goes, that's because you're fat. I said, oh, wow. Can you sugarcoat that a little bit? And so immediately I figured, okay, what am I going to do? I upped my exercise. I actually signed up for Isogenics, which you're an Isogenics person. Virginia is. And Isogenics is just a way of eating and some protein shakes to supplement your regular foods and cleansing, to get rid of some of the toxins. And I actually dropped 15 pounds to around 180, and I hovered around the 175 to 180 for quite a number of years. And then about 3-4 months ago, I decided, you know what? I'm still not as fast as I'd like to be playing hockey or playing soccer. And so I just made it a conscious decision to change my eating habit and up my exercise a little bit through sports. And now I'm, right around 165, 168, hovering in there. And I feel great at this.
And you look great,
weight.
too.
Oh, thanks, ladies.
Yes.
So Virginia, what changes did you make? I know you had some weight struggles when you had lack of energy after having your children, and you look great now.
Thank you.
So, and you I
And you
think
feel
your
great.
physical energy, like your energy level, is high. I can see that. And so, what changes did you make, or what changes could you still make in your home to make it a more active home?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. So yes, as Ken had said, my energy levels, they were very, very low. So that affects everything. I wasn't able to clean my home the way I wanted to. And because of that, I just felt more and more burdened. So I had to change my energy levels. And I did do that using the system. And so then I started, once I had the energy, I was able to actually think about exercising again. As going through high school and grade school, I was very active on all the sports teams, and then it just stopped. So I started really the 6 feet between my TV and my couch. I thought, I'm not one to go to the gym. I mean, I did do that. It's not something I enjoyed doing. And so what I do tell people is find something you enjoy doing. That could be gardening. I mean, what a great way to make your home a home.
Right, make your house a home.
Your house a home.
Yeah.
And because those colors, whatever you choose to put out, the types of flowers that speak to you, the colors that speak to you, that just bring you joy. And so that is a form of exercise, which my husband Jeff does a lot of the gardening. And I do like going to the gym. Again, I started between the 6 feet between my TV and my couch.
Tell us
with
more
videos.
about that. What do you mean, the 6 feet between your couch? Is that where you worked out?
That's where I worked out. That is where I worked out. And then eventually, because I was doing it on a daily basis, and it could be 30 minutes, and I'd have 30 minutes 6 days a week, and then a rest day. Now we do have a gym in our home. We turned one of our rooms into a gym. We've got the bars and all the bells and whistles because, my son is into that as well. So I'm in it every day. So it is a room in our home that is well used, but that wasn't there before.
Yeah, and you said your son's into it. Do you think he caught that from you?
Yeah, that is a very good point. He may, I don't know, he may differ on, because I'm his mom, but I would say, yeah, because he wanted to get a squat rack. So it's like, okay, great, let's see how we can fit it into that room. And now he is, because he does like the mixed martial arts, so he is able to do that, and he has friends come over. That's the other beautiful part. How do you make a house a home is by having people into it. So I invite people to come and work out with me. So it's usually early in the morning, 5:45 in the morning. I have gals come over, and now in the neighborhood.
I'm not one of those.
No, yet. Yet.
I won't be.
Maybe not. Well, anyway. So, and then the other thing is the environment, as Ken was talking about, where we live. So we have chosen to live in a place where that we're surrounded by trees, and there's a river there. So now I have not been a runner, and now I am a runner.
Oh, is that right?
I am,
Okay.
and I signed up for a run at the end of August to push myself. And I have somebody who knows what they're doing coming over to teach me. And that's another key as far as our homes go. Do we do the renovations ourselves? Or do we get that expert advice to make it really, at the end of the day, I mean, I could go out and run, but I wouldn't be breathing properly. I wouldn't be taking the proper strides at the proper times. And it's the same with, I think, plumbing. I mean, if I was ever that would just be
Not good.
not good. So I just think that it ties in so beautifully with, our home. What does that mean to us? And how do we open our doors to other people to bring them in to our home so that they can really experience a relationship together and have joy together. And laugh together.
Yeah, I
Get
think
those endorphins going.
Yeah, I think that's how you make exercise fun.
Yes.
Like, I've never been into running. I can run for an hour and a half chasing a soccer ball with a team in a team sport and have fun. And yet, ask me to run around the block and I'm winded. And I don't know, it's an adrenaline thing or something. I don't know what it is, but it's hard for me to run around a block. And then other people like that solitude of getting in a zone of running or on a treadmill or outside on the street or riding a bike or whatever it is. They get into a zone. I've never found that zone.
Well, and another neat thought that I just had is in relation to the physicalness of our home. We're talking about a house, and we're talking about, the streets right in front of our home, and whether we're living in a high-rise apartment or whether we're living in a low-rise or whether we're living in a condominium, whether it's a rental or whether it's something that we've actually purchased, you can still do so much to make that house into a home. And the great news in some of the high-rise buildings, it's easier actually, because there's an indoor pool. Mm-hmm. There could be. I said some of them. Yeah. There's indoor pool, there's exercise equipment, there's biking trails, usually right around a lot of them. So it's not really dependent so much on what style of house you've chosen to turn into a home. Any style and any ownership style can work, or not ownership, just renting. Simply renting still you can do so much to make it work, because you can still use the 6 feet between your couch and your TV, right? You maybe can't tear down the walls and open it up and change the layout to make it easier. And yet you can still use the facilities that are right in the building. And often in the buildings, you also have closer proximity to amenities that are outdoor, whether it's the bike trails or whether it's the canal in the winter in Ottawa. I mean, we've got a city that if we're located close to those things, are willing to take a little drive, we can add the fun. We can add some active fun from our physical aspect, and it really comes from our home. Absolutely. Right?
And another way some people make a house a home is by bringing a pet in. Mm-hmm. And especially if that pet needs walking, right? And that's going to create some exercise for an owner when the dog takes the owner for a walk. And I think that, not every home should have a pet. I'm not saying that.
Ours shouldn't.
Ours shouldn't.
Ours ought
our
not.
lifestyle does not allow for the care of a pet and the loving of a pet in the times that it needs to be loved, because we're just out of the house too much from time to time, right? But that may be a way of getting the exercise and making your house a home.
Yeah, because there is a comfort in having somebody to pet. Because Ken doesn't like it when I pet him that much.
Actually, I do. Because, physical touch is my number one love language. So
Not mine.
I could put my head down on your lap and let you pat my hair all night. That's okay. So, that brings up another topic is there's, you can exercise in the master bedroom. I don't recommend that being where you put your treadmill, but yet there's a form of exercise that's very healthy that you can do there and make your house a home.
Okay, Virginia, go somewhere with that. Because I'm at a loss for words.
Well, I was also thinking about young families and children. And I know it was tough for me to get out when my children were young because of that energy. However, I did it because it was important for them to see me somewhat active, and also for us as a family for building that, and then being with other people as well. So that was those young families. I look at those young moms that are out there, and it's incredible. They're out walking and jogging and playing and climbing, and it's awesome.
It is
because they're such a
awesome.
great example to their children.
I think these days children spend too much time in front of a box, whether it be a PlayStation or that kind of thing, or it's a computer, or it's a tablet, or it's the TV. There's just too much screen time, and so we got to figure out a way to get that fun and the physicality as well together. Because there's a time for that. There's a time for video games and having fun and whatever, but it's become almost a babysitter as opposed to let's get out and have fun as a family. Let's throw the frisbee around. Let's have a water balloon fight. Let's just go out there and have a hoot.
Yeah. And set up our homes so that they can be active living inside and out.
Yes.
Right? So whether you love winter sports or whether you don't love winter sports, you can still have your home set up in such a way that you have one space in the house where the balls can roll.
Yes.
Right? Where the hockey can play.
Where the pillow fight can happen.
Right, those things. Yeah, those things. So if you joined us on the Complete Wealth Formula, we didn't give you the complete wealth formula. We covered aspects of it, and today focused on the physical. The next show coming up next week will be on the spiritual aspect as it relates to making a house a home, and we will, if you didn't listen to last week's, which was relational, you might want to go back and find that either in a podcast or a video, dekkerteam.com or CHRI. Thanks for joining us, Virginia.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And thanks for being with me, Ken.
Oh, it was awesome. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you, everybody.